Welcome to Coming Home. I am your host, Dr.Onalee. I went live on Instagram at Dr.Onalee on releasing temptation so that you are not triggered to get back together with somebody who keeps hurting you. I'm going to share a little bit about the science and the background of why it is so addicting and so tempting to get back with the narcissist or the avoidant, even though you've tried to break it off a million times. This is a little bit about what's going on. When you are in heightened emotion and sensations, it feels like it's the worst thing that's going on. You swear that you are done. If you've had a really horrible hangover, or if you've had COVID or strep throat, something that just is so uncomfortable, so painful, you feel like it's going to last forever, and you beg and you plead and you say that you will do anything to feel better. In that moment, it is so heightened and you really feel it. But then what happens once your hangover wears away, or you no longer have COVID, you no longer have strep throat, you feel perfectly fine? Are you tapping back into and thinking about how painful and uncomfortable the other circumstances were? Or are you just thinking about you feeling good in that moment? Then what happens? So, for example, if you no longer have the hangover anymore, but you know you've been trying to quit drinking, what happens is your brain goes to pleasure. Your brain starts to think about maybe there was a time where you had a few glasses of wine with your girlfriends and it was such a fun night. Or you want to sit out on the porch, have a couple beers, just look up to the stars. Your brain will start to fantasize about the good times, even if they were slim to none. That's what happens when your nervous system is in a good state, especially if you get to a state where you're very calm and grateful and just happy to be alive. This is what the brain does. It starts to seek out pleasure, even if it's fantasy, and it blocks out pain, it blocks out consequences. This is why the dynamic with the narcissist or the avoidant is so freaking powerful. You get to the point where you block them or you say that you're leaving. You are in so much pain. You are baffled by what they just did, and you cannot believe they just freaking did it again. After you forgave them, after you let them back in, after you've told them how much it bothers you about what they're doing, and yet they do it again, and you feel maddened. You cannot believe it that you're in this situation again, and you swear that you are really leaving for good, or you block them and you swear it's the last time. You can't even imagine yourself unblocking them. Then what happens? After some time has worn down, you've settled down. Maybe it's been a few days and your nervous system calms down, 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 down. You start having different kinds of thoughts. You start thinking of the good times, the parts about that person that you loved, the parts where they were kind to you, or they did something for you, or you felt alive with them. And then what happens is you start thinking maybe you were too harsh to block them. Maybe you were too harsh to leave. Maybe they really were the best thing and you've been the narcissist this whole time. You've been the selfish one. You've been the ungrateful one. You've been the whatever they've projected onto you. And you might be sitting here nodding your head like, oh my God, how does she know exactly what I'm going through? Because when you're dealing with a narcissist or an unhealthy relationship, we all go through the same feelings, even if the circumstances are different. These are the dynamics and the patterns. That's why when I've worked with thousands of people, my coaching isn't significantly different. And I'm never shocked by some of the things that I hear. You might feel like you're the only one going through this, but this is what you go through when you're experiencing narcissistic abuse. They try to paint the picture that they are the best thing since sliced bread and that you are so lucky to be with them. It is an honor and a privilege to be with such a good man or such a good woman. That's what they do. So that when you act maybe out of character or you maybe slip up and say something that wasn't the kindest, They can hold it over your head and they can say that you are sabotaging the best relationship, that you are letting go of the best man, that good men still exist. I know I'm saying men a lot, so just to keep this episode easier, just insert in whatever applies to you. They will try to make it seem like they are the best thing that you are ever going to experience and that you are the one who is sabotaging or ruining being with them and that you are missing out. And so, what they are doing is manipulating your mind to think that. So, you're probably going through or you've gone through so much chaos and confusion. You feel like you're mind fucked. You can't even think straight. That's how you feel when you're with a narcissistic person. You are not feeling happiness and joy and peace and love and abundance when you are with a narcissist. It's just not possible. It might be possible in the beginning, but the beginning isn't real. It eventually fades. And then eventually, how you feel in the relationship is you're constantly doubting yourself. You're usually wondering if you're the narcissist because they are projecting onto you to make it seem like you're a horrible person. They are targeting your wounds and your insecurities. So you usually feel like you need to prove yourself or defend yourself or show the red receipts. In an argument, it's about them being right, and it's never about peace and resolution and getting back to happiness and joy. There is no happiness and joy when you're with a narcissistic person. But what happens is after you've closed the door, you've walked away, and some time has faded, you're not thinking about all those painful moments. Just like with a hangover, once it wears away, you're not thinking about the hangover. You're thinking about the good times. And that's what happens. This is why I'm so big on saying that the beginning with the narcissist wasn't real, because this is what keeps so many people stuck for years and years and years and years and years and years, because that's their game. The beginning is amazing, but then once they've gotten you, you'll never go back to the beginning. Just like with an alcoholic, the first glass of wine is amazing, but you're trying to reach that feeling of the first glass of wine and the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth until you black out, and you never got back to that first because you can't. It only happens on the first. It's the same thing with a narcissistic relationship. It only happened in the beginning. The beginning was just what they needed to do to hook you in. The beginning was the whole time the fishing rod, the hook. The fish was there, but there was a hook underneath it. That's the narcissist character when you first meet them. You either experience a really great time with them or they painted a picture of what the future was going to look like. And then they string you along because it's like a carrot dangling out in front of you that you will never be able to reach, because they keep making it seem like you are the one who's not allowing them to reach into that future and that fantasy because you're the problem. That is their game. You never win with a narcissist. You never catch the carrot. You never experience the beginning again. But the problem is that when we're operating out of our own wounds and insecurities, we're going to constantly be questioning ourselves and thinking that it is our fault, thinking that we did mess it up. Think most of my clients, they come to me, they think they're the narcissist. It's the most common thing I hear and see. Let me tell you right now to help you clear this up. Somebody who's a real narcissist is not going to question if they are a narcissist. They don't care. They are not self-reflecting. They are not interested and curious in changing their behaviors unless you're truly 100% diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, which is only 1 to 5% of people. And they are the ones seeking treatment because their life is so unmanageable and they're not able to function in society. The person you're talking about, do they think that they have a problem? Are they sitting there thinking they need to go to therapy? Or have they maybe only agreed to go to therapy because you told them they need to? Narcissistic people don't think about changing. They don't think about transforming. I always say it's not that they're not capable of it, because I think any human being can be capable of it. But in order to be capable of it, you're going to have to want it or think that there's a problem. The person you're dealing with, most likely, they don't think that they need to change. Why this game has worked for them and why they keep getting away with it, or it appears that way, is because they keep targeting people where they can love bomb them and then they can hook them and then discard them. They keep targeting people who have deep wounds and deep insecurities, who are going to deeply question themselves and think that it's their fault. And that's how a narcissist can have power and control over you. They will have power and control over you when they can make you question your own identity and self worth. This is why my work is called Coming Home. This is why I have my Man in Power and my Woman in Power programs, because the work to become narcissist proof is for you to be in your power and for you to create a story and a narrative of yourself and not buy into anybody else's version that is different than that. So if you've been afraid to be a bad mother or to appear selfish or bitchy, if you've been afraid of being called or perceived those things, that's what you've been protecting and defending at all costs. And you've been losing yourself and exhausting yourself over it. So, whatever that wound has been for you, when you no longer need to protect it at all costs and defend it, you're okay if somebody thinks that because you know you aren't that, you will be free. You will not be a match to narcissistic people because the moment somebody tries to project that onto you, you will walk away. You will not entertain that, but only a secure, worthy person will do that. So, my work on this planet is to help you step into your worth, your power, your beauty, to be able to feel confident, to walk away, to be able to reject people, and to be able to get rejected and trust that any rejection was protection. My work isn't so much about validating your experience with the narcissist and making them so wrong. That's not what we're doing over here. What we're doing is becoming our most beautiful, worthy, secure version who does not have guilt and people pleasing, who is not constantly questioning if you are a narcissist. When you're in your power, people are gonna think you're bitchy or that you're an asshole or whatever you might be afraid. They might think that it's up to you to know you aren't that, but you sometimes might be perceived that way, whether it's true or not. This is what I think a lot of empathetic people are too afraid. They're too afraid to be the thing that they judge or that they cannot stand. But I promise you, it's the thing holding you back. When you're so afraid of being perceived a certain way, you will try to protect it at all costs and you will stay in incorrect relationships all the live long day trying to protect it until you finally, hopefully, hit rock bottom and you wake up and you decide to create a new story and you don't care whether they think you're that thing or not because you know that you're not that thing. And that takes a lot of courage on this planet, on a planet full of tons of people who are not in their power. So that's what I want to help bring to the planet is to help you be in your power in a healthy way, not an arrogant way, in a healthy way where you can respect yourself and take care of yourself. By you doing that, you are also setting an example for your children and anyone you work with and you support. You are not mean. You are not selfish. I know that you're listening to this. You're quite frankly the opposite of that. You would not be attracted to this kind of conversation, even in the least bit. I attract empathetic people who want to also be in their power. And being in your power means a willingness to walk away, a willingness to not talk yourself into making it work with something that's not right, a willingness to not gaslight or desensitize your intuition. This takes courage. This takes some fine tuning. This takes some rewiring. But if it calls to you, you are worth it. At the time of this recording, everything until Monday, October 14th is 50% off for lifetime access. So you could join Man or Woman in Power. You could join No More Narcissists. But even if the discount has passed, the prices are phenomenal to still join. They still are worth so much more in actual dollars. But I wanted to make them very accessible for you to be able to join. So I would love to have you in this work. I would love to have you continue coming in and listening to this podcast. If you want to say hi on Instagram, would absolutely love that. And if you could take a minute, actually just takes 30 seconds, if you could just leave a 5-star review, that is so helpful. So thank you for being here. All of these things helps me to stay connected with you and to be able to have the energy and the resources and the support to put out all of this free content for you. It is my pleasure. It is my honor. And I absolutely love it. So stay tuned. Some more amazing conversations and topics are on the route. So I will be talking to you soon. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, amazing rest of your night.